I would love to talk about your business, especially for some of our listeners that are inspired by your business, by RMCC, want to start their own consulting business. Let's start from the beginning. So when you had that goal to start your own company, what were those first steps that you did to start DK Consulting?
Well, yeah, actually it was, because it just kind of started happening and I kind of fell into it, just because there's such a weird a niche need in certain instances in California. It's really hard to like put into words sometimes. It's just that we have a strange dynamic here. And I know you touched on it in the beginning of this conversation as well, too, especially when it comes to distribution. But yeah, I kind of realized that, okay, this is happening and I'm doing this. This is great. And I kind of had to figure a few things out, like what I was going to focus on, because I kind of came out of the gate with the whole, I can do everything. It's kind of weird, like when you start your own business outside of cannabis. And this is something that I've just been used to most of my life. And I've helped many entrepreneurs in their startup companies. And so I just know, like, you get out there, you hustle, you get clients, you know, you push. That's not really what you're doing here. That's not what you should be doing. And you also really need to drill down to exactly what it is that you can handle and what you can offer to your clients as well, too. I had a menu that was like forever and a day. Yes, I can do all of these things, but in actual reality, it's, you know, I need to, there's some kind of precedence that you need to take for yourself in scheduling and planning and, you know, laying out your offers and your services. So you never want to like overburden yourself on this, because you will get stuck, which I have been. And I've been kind of in those positions with, yeah. And so you just want to make sure that you're just not putting it all out there and everything, and, you know, because if something pops up while you're out in the field and they're like, oh God, I really need some help with this, and I wonder if I can find somebody to do it, and it's something you can do, you know, at that time you can add it on and, you know, offer that service to them. But yeah, first and foremost, I had to really drill down my services. The next most important thing, and it probably should have been first, it's just because the ball started rolling so fast, I just couldn't keep up, is legal. You need to get some type of legal assistance. Consulting, especially in cannabis, you are a non-plant touching cannabis business. So it's a little bit easier. And like, I came from cannabis businesses who are just restricted and blocked in every single way. And so there's certain things that you really need to make sure that you take care of. So legal, setting up an LLC, getting your insurance, getting bonded as well too. There's a lot of things that kind of come into play, because this industry is risky. So there's a lot of things that you want to do to not only cover yourself, but you're actually covering your services and your deliverables that you give to your customers as well. So there's a lot of backup that you really want to do. And then the last thing for me was to really solidify my source of truth. Being that there's a lot of writing, a lot of documentation, there needs to be some type of documented like source of truth as to where you gain your knowledge from and your knowledge base. And I rely on RMCC for a lot of that information. And I do have other assets as well too. And they mainly came from my network, you know, within cannabis and actually outside of the cannabis industry when I used to work in other industries as well too. A lot of them coming forward because I associated with a lot of lobbyists. And working in legal as well too. There's a few assembly members that I've worked with in the past as well. So I kind of incorporated a lot of that into it as well too. But those were probably like the three biggest things that I really I felt that for me really helped, but I'm sure I probably could have done that in a different order. But yeah, it was definitely, I had to drill down my menu of services first and foremost and really focus on what I wanted to do. I know what everybody needed, but it was what I wanted to do because this is my business. That's the reason why I'm starting my own business, you know? So, and then legal and, you know, which anybody and everybody should get no matter what. That's probably one of the biggest things and probably one of the first things you should do. So definitely get that.
Yeah, absolutely. I resonate with all of that. And to kind of put a little peace of mind here, I was in the exact same order too. So when I first had my service proposal, I had like this 5-page beautiful design from like my marketing consultant that was just like beautiful, but I wasn't landing clients. I'm like, what the heck? Because it was just like so overwhelming to get 5 pages of all these services and things. And so then when I started to figure that out and I started to bundle things into what I call my launch package, and so that's a 3-phase engagement over an entire year where it's like a true partnership with me. And I go through the assessment, the SOPs, the training, the implementation, and all of those different things. But it took me a while to get to that point because I realized I can't just hand over a menu. I need to communicate what problem I'm solving and how we're going to get there. That's all they care about. They don't care about the what and everything else and what we're going to do to get there. They're like, okay, what is my end goal and how do I know that this is successful at the end of the day? And so really trying to figure out how to package and communicate that, and just, you know, that comes into selling, marketing, sales copy. There's like this whole other hat as an entrepreneur that like you have to start learning and diving into all of those things. And just like you, my next step was legal and insurance and bonds, and the insurance piece, extremely important to get errors in admissions insurance. That will cover your ass so much. And I definitely suggest however many licenses you're engaging with, get up to $1 million of insurance for E&O insurance, because that will cover you, and you can, and then depending on your policy and whatnot, like that will cover you per issue or per situation if you do ever have to cash in on that E&O insurance. Thankfully, I've never had to do that, but it's there for your own safety net. And then you need to have legal, not only legal and to ensure that you're advising properly, but also for your agreement. One of the mistakes that I made in one of my first agreements was, instead of having, if like a dispute happened, instead of requiring everything to go to mediation, I had stuff in there about like federal courts and whatnot. And it's like, well, we're cannabis, we're not federally legal, so like, no. And so when I got my attorney, Vicente Cederberg, actually, one of the leading cannabis attorneys, they reviewed my agreements, and I was just like, hey, and they like cross all this out. They're like, no, like you do not want to do any of these things. So these were all like really critical moments, my first, I would say, 6 months of starting the business, that were just, you know, feet to the fire and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, I'm used to doing the, you know, learn as you go. And, you know, it's also that entrepreneurial spirit, like you just jump in and do it. You know, if you really want to do it, just get out there and do it. And I get that as well, too. But I do also have like a lot of that experience of working with a lot of entrepreneurs and just kind of having that knowledge, thank goodness, to know that, you know, a lawyer, whatever you're going to pay, it will be worth it. I know a lot of people see it as like an overhead in some sense. And I've been told by some of the, you know, greatest executives that I've ever supported and worked, they've told me the same thing as well, too. It'll always be worth whatever it is that you're going to be paying, as long as they're good, of course. But, but yeah, and there's a lot of other things that they pointed out, too, that I wasn't even thinking about as well. So that's when the E&O came up. I didn't know because I've only used bonds in the past, and that's usually been something that would cover me for anything else that I was working in before. But yeah, E&O definitely works for this. I mean, you definitely want to have that. So yeah, it was quite interesting, a definite learning experience.
Always. And I would say, just to reinforce the legal and attorney statement, make sure they're a cannabis attorney. Like, I feel that is like so critical. The amount of people that I've worked with that, and this is kind of more on the licensing side, maybe not exactly pertaining to us and our businesses, but people are like, oh yeah, he's an attorney, he's going to help. I have my brother-in-law do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, are they in cannabis or are they from other industries? Because as we know, and through this entire conversation, we have very unique situations that you really need that hands-on experience to really digest and make the right decisions and, have the right advisement through all of that. And you also mentioned when you go to deliver your menu or your services or your packages, make sure you find out what you truly enjoy doing.